Hello angels, and welcome to my first doll painting video where I will be making a cute little zombie from this Monster High. I always like to repaint on secondhand dolls because I feel like I'm giving them a second chance at life. I was super lucky this time because in the secondhand doll lot that I bought, I found the entire Create a Monster Color Me Creepy set where the doll changes color on her legs, arms and chest based on heat. I thought to use this attribute to make a zombie that decayed when neglected as she gets darker, a kind of bruised color when cold. So the more you leave her, the more she'll look a little bit like she's rotting. When painting Monster High faces, I actually don't seal the face to begin with, as I know some people do. I do this because I sometimes do make mistakes, accidentally paint on something, and I want to be able to remove that with the acetone. I want to be able to go back and change my mind. So I do not seal the beginning, just because then if I want to remove it, I don't also remove the sealant, and then that creates a kind of issue with the skin tone, things like that. I use a graphite pencil to kind of mark out lightly where I want the eyes to be, the eye shape. Made a mistake. And then I use the darkest color I want to use for its color palette as the kind of outline to the eyes. When painting the whites for the eyes, I use an airbrush paint. I do this because it is very, very thin. This means that I can use lots of very thin layers to make sure that there's no brush strokes visible. Fifidoll now do air paints, and I do suggest the white as it is very, very good for the whites of the eyes. You can mix it with a little bit of pink or a tiny bit of blue depending on what kind of look you're going for to make it more realistic. As I was considering the eyes to be slightly bloodshot, I decided to go with a kind of pink, very, very light pink for the eyes. This was definitely a painting of discovery, as I was trying to use different techniques in smudging with a bigger brush or even with a cotton, what are they called? Cotton stick? Just because then I was kind of learning how to do bruising in a realistic way. I love being able to go back and do it differently again. That's why I don't seal them to begin with. I do seal them at the end, however. I always use the Fifidoll Manchurian Varnish, as I believe it's called. Feel free to correct me on that. I use that, and I use a different varnish for the eyes, so they are nice and sparkly shiny. I always feel like this is the point where the doll kind of comes alive for me. When you paint the irises, it then gains so much life in this moment. It used to be, when I streamed on Twitch, the favourite part of my viewers, as it was then they kind of got to meet the doll that I was painting. And it is also why I do not really name my dolls until they are completely finished, and then I have met them in the fully way that they are expressing themselves. I feel like then I can get an understanding of their personality. Widening the mouth can be quite tricky with these dolls, as they have the dimples at the sides of their lips. So making sure that you can still carry on the shape of the mouth past that, it takes some trial and error sometimes. Now there may be some gore. Well, there will be some gore. So just to give you a little content warning, as I will also put in the description, we are making a zombie here, so there will be things like brains and open parts of the face, just to let you know. I decided to colour in the squinted eye completely, just to make it a lot more kind of bloodshot. And I had used a darker green, but as soon as I put it down, I regretted it. It looked very much like a watercolour painting of a landscape on their cheeks. I'm using a very dark red and some blacks and blues around the eyes. I believe it could be that this eye is actually missing on this side. And then defining the open eye as well. And I recolored the open eye to kind of make it match a little bit. It's okay to go back and change things as your character evolves. And now defining the lips, and we're going to create a kind of open jaw on one side of the face here. Using again our darkest pink to make the first defining lines of the open cut into her face. just using a slightly darker pink for her gums. And again, defining that line. Then I added teeth. You'll have to forgive me, as this is the first time I'm doing this. I'm not very used to painting like this with the camera down in front of the doll. Sometimes me and the camera fight, sometimes the camera wins, and I don't realize that I'm actually not even painting on camera. So I'm very sorry I couldn't show you the teeth, although I was able to show you a little bit of painting the roots of the teeth there. We're now bringing that open eye down a little bit of open skin underneath the eye there. We have to make sure that the skin around it kind of makes sense with some pulled lines around this open area underneath the eye. And just going back, defining any other areas that need it. A little sign of life with the pupil. And some dark red over the bloodshot eye. Some shaping of the lip there, so she's still cute. And a little bit of highlight just above the eyes, just to bring them out a little bit. Now for the brain. Now this hole in her head was to attach a wig, but instead I've just filled it up with a hot glue, and now I'm using liquid green stuff, which is used to remove mold lines from miniatures. I'm covering it with a few layers and then stippling just to create that brain texture. And I'm not too worried if I get over the edge because acetone removes it just as well. I just showed you the airbrush paint that I use for the eyes. I'm just going back to the eyes and working on them a little bit more whilst I wait for the green stuff to dry. I'm adding some tiny veins into the eye there as well. Now I'm adding my base color for the brain. That was a bit too much like the skin tone, so let's go a little bit darker than that. Now this is just the first layer, but I'm actually not too fussed if the green starts to show through of the pink, as I believe this gives it a nice kind of weird brainy kind of vibe to it. And we're just going to use this darker pink just to do a bit of depth in the ear and some bruises on the skull. Bringing that brain color down a little bit more to create more bruising. And I'm always going back, waiting for the layers of the brain to dry. Going back and checking that there's nothing else I want to do on the face. Doing more touch-ups. Here I'm adding a varnish called Ard Coat, and it is from Citadel, and it is a very glossy coat that they use for gems and things like that, and I use it for my eyes and lips. It sometimes makes paint run, especially if I use any gouache, but you can just use a dry brush to dab it away. Now I'm not sure why Monster High decided to put this little crease in her head, but I'm using it as where the brain has started and the skull stops. I don't know how else to explain. Using my darkest pink again in our color palette today, and not being like too worried about how uniform it's going to be. This is going to be a perfect circle I'm tracing around anyway, so as imperfect as I make it, it's probably for the best. And I can bring this pink down to make streaks of blood or to add to bruising and things like that. Now the brain detail. We have our right and left sides of the brain here. I have not really seen a brain from bird's eye view, so I am painting this completely from memory. I was actually on MeetMe streaming this whilst I was painting, so I couldn't really also then look up what a brain looks like. I just kind of went with it, did some squiggles. And there we go. Now for the hair. My first attempt is something that I used to do on other dolls, where I would melt the hair onto the head. This is done by using the side of the glue gun and kind of using the heat to just fuse the two together. I am just watching myself attempt this now. It's not going to work. I think because there is a definite stop to the hair here, and I'm trying to put it just at the edge, it's giving me too much frayed edges at the top, and it's not sticking as well as I would like to. So the second method, what I've done, I'll just fail at this real quick. Okay, I use the glue gun to apply the glue on both sides of the hair. A little strip of hair I want to use. I then also fold it against the top of the skull, so the top of the hair is flat. Applying glue to both sides and folding it over. I then do this about 4 more times. So you can see I've added about 4 strands of hair. It's a look. Look how cute she is. And the other thing about this Create a Monster is that her legs and arms come off completely. So I'm starting to do some body blushing now, just with quite a dry brush, just to create some shading and some bruising. And I guess these holes were for wings and tails as a Create a Monster doll, but we're just going to ignore these. Now you can see that the arms have already darkened from the cold, and the legs too. But we're going to put her all together so we can continue our blushing. This was a complete set. Unfortunately, she was just missing one hand, so I had to use somebody else's hand that looks like could be Frankie's, who knows. I've sprayed this body with the Manchurian varnish that I just showed you there. This is because it's much easier to paint on this hard plastic if you seal it. So I don't seal the heads before painting, but I do seal the bodies before painting because it's a different type of plastic. And you do need some help to make sure your paint sticks and doesn't slip off the body. Adding some more texture, some more bruising and shading to the body. and I only paint one side of the hand because I still like the kind of zombie-esque color of it. Adding a touch more shading here and there. Then voila! This is our doll, Delilah Undead, with customized Monster High clothing that I had covered in blood. I added some blood to her fingertips and she is complete. Thank you for watching, angels. I will be posting more of these, so please let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, you can find out more about me and my art at www.fifidoll.com. All my social media is in the description. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, angels.